Hello. This is an update on the situation with the war in Ukraine on the Eastern Front. Okay, so recent events are that the Russians appear to be changing tactics a little bit. Instead of going for the big cauldron to surround all the Ukrainian troops, which is about 40,000, probably on the lower side of estimates, and it appears that they're going for mini cauldrons. So they're kind of punching through the lines a little bit, setting up like a encirclement, on a smaller scale. One of the areas is around the city of Papanoia, and another one is the area of Severodonetsk, if I'm saying these right. And that is a bigger city there, Severodonetsk, that the Russians have taken over the majority of it. The Ukrainians are trapped on 3 sides, and I believe that their ability to exit has been severely diminished. The Ukrainians are following the CIA MI6 guidance of using human shields. They are currently entrenched into the suburban area of Severodonetsk in a residential area, using civilian houses and apartments as their cover, which forces the Russians to have to destroy these. So the other areas that we're looking at is basically, the entire battlefield, which is massive. We're talking hundreds of kilometers. It's all under attack every day and every night. I mean, this is like a World War II style epic battle. When you look at the grandiosity of this is massive. I mean, you got like thousands of Russian tanks, thousands of artillery pieces, the Russian Air Force, tens and tens of thousands of Russian troops. I'm not sure exactly how much. I believe it's up there near 100,000. And they are relentlessly pounding Ukrainian lines every day and night. And they're hitting all their logistics centers, their ammunition bunkers, their fuel depots, their command and control. They've taken out their air defenses. They've taken out their artillery. Even the American artillery that was given to them, and it was all PR'd up about a week ago. All these American 155 millimeter howitzers are going to Ukraine, and they showed them being shipped, and then wow, they're already blown up. Bad news for the Ukrainians. Like, who would have guessed? Oh my God. I mean, the Russians have eyes everywhere. They know where all this stuff is and where it's going. They have UAVs, they have spies. And as soon as they set this stuff up, there's a video of showing it getting blown up before they even got a shot off. I mean, this is how dire the situation is in Ukraine. The morale is abysmal. Imagine getting slammed with Katyusha rockets and pinpoint artillery strikes all day and all night. You're going to die. And you're starting to see some mass surrendering. Now, what happened before is that wasn't allowed. But now it's become so popular that they can't shoot all these people. But before, anyone who tried to flee, desert, or surrender was shot. These Ukrainian troops, these are thugs. May not be the individual soldier level, but these people are being controlled by thugs. You have Azov Battalion infiltrate the entire Ukrainian leadership and their military command. And they're running things. And this is all being operated by the MI6 and the State Department, the U.S. military. They have special forces there training, and they're all being told what to do, like the Snake Island attack. That the Ukrainian military leadership did not want to do that. It was a wasteful blunder. It's catastrophic. But they're in control. And they're running things. It's sort of like Himmler of the SS, who wasn't a military general, he wasn't a leader, but he actually took over. For a time, he actually took over the command of a large portion of the German army. Himmler. Okay, he was the guy, the secret police guy of Germany. Okay, that's kind of like what's going on in Ukraine. These Azov battalion guys, these are just a bunch of thugs. They're not military commanders and generals. So, it's one blunder after another. The defenses are horrific. The Ukrainians basically set up, I'd say two major types of defenses. One is they use residential areas. Okay, and they'll actually be in apartment buildings while the civilians are still in there, or in a hospital while it's still operating. And they're going to set up firing positions. Now, this is really something that sets the civilians off, and the civilians have turned against the Ukrainian troops. The Ukrainian troops are not there to help the Ukrainian civilians at all. They're fighting for a regime that is hated at this point. Even Azov battalion commanders, there's a video of one, and he is basically threatening, the Zelensky regime. That after this is all over, they're going to come after him. That's what he's saying. Okay, so basically, you're starting to see fragmentation in the leadership. It's going to be like a free-for-all at this point. It's crumbling. Now, the Ukrainian, as I mentioned, the defenses are so inadequate. They're basically using like a World War I trench system. And their troops, they don't have any heavy weaponry. There's no large anti-tank guns. There's no, sophisticated anti-aircraft system. They're Stingers, that's it. And they're not even working right. And you've got no heavy, machine guns. There's no, 12.7, 50 caliber, type level of heavy infantry weapons. So basically, nothing has any range. So the Russians basically, they scope out the positions with UAVs and recon patrols. Then they'll bring in the massive artillery barrage. Now, whatever lives through this gets picked off by snipers. Then they're going to bring in the tanks and mortars. And they're just going to level whatever is still standing. They're going to use airstrikes to pinpoint anything that they need help with. Or the alligator attack helicopters. Every once in a while you'll see a position has a tank dug in or something along those lines. Or an armored car. But that's getting rare. So they basically just hammer these positions now with the heavy stuff. The helicopters, the tanks, and so on. And then, after all is done, and it appears that there's no life remaining, they're going to send in the infantry units to kind of mop things up. Now, one thing the Ukrainians do when they flee is they'll use mines. Probably courtesy of the United States. And they're going to mine things. They're going to mine under corpses. They're going to put mines under weapons. They're going to put mines in doorways. So that the Russian troops have to go in there. They're going to document everything, take videos, go to damage. They're going to evaluate any abandoned vehicles. They're going to take photos and inspect all the bodies. They're looking for NZs. And, in case there are any stragglers, they'll be taken care of. There's usually several wounded. They'll be tended to care. Or if there's anyone who's surrendering, they'll be taken into captivity. So this is basically what the infantry is doing in the field. Okay. And, every once in a while you'll have a Ukrainian counterattack. Now, there was 2 notable counterattacks. One was about 4 days ago, where it was 30 tanks and several hundred Ukrainian troops and armored cars and other things. And this massive, this was big for a counterattack. I've never heard any Ukrainian attack this large so far. Now, the Russians used their pinpoint artillery and literally destroyed almost every tank with pinpoint artillery. Now, I'm going to see if I can find a video of that, because it's just shocking. There's actually UAV video showing the dial in the artillery on individual tanks. And there was, the Russians lost 13 men, KIA. The Ukrainians lost 30 tanks, I believe all of them, and over 300 infantry. And it was a resounding defeat. So this is the difference in the tactics. Whatever the Ukrainians are doing, it's just not working. Okay, and this goes down to the fundamental leadership failure. And then there was another attack. I believe this was more of a breakout, where there was a squad, basically of Russians, about 10 to 12 men, and they held off an attack of 3 Ukrainian tanks and dozens of Ukrainian troops with 0 casualties. And all the Ukrainians were dead, all tanks were destroyed. So it just shows you that what the difference between the two armies is. The haves and the have-nots. It's completely unequal. And now you're not hearing any of this in mainstream media. You're hearing all these Ukrainian victories and things, and they're taking out, the Russian tanks and all this. And this is not even close to being true. In fact, I would say that the Russian casualties are on a level of something like that the Americans used to claim, like they wanted like a 13-to-1 kill ratio, like in Vietnam. I would say this is probably in that area. And you'll see like some units are actually documenting everything like on a daily basis, like doing videos. And one is a Chechen unit. And these guys are on the front lines every day. And I posted some of their videos and some other stuff. So I won't do that here. But these guys, they're the same guys every day. And they're doing heavy fighting. These guys are in Mariupol. Now I'm going to show you a video here of some fighting, because I want to show the firepower that's being used here in Ukraine. And this is stuff that military experts are going to be studying for years. And you're going to see just how like over the top this firepower is. Now, that's just not my observation. There's people who were there who said the same thing. You got a Canadian sniper who went to Ukraine all jacked up and cocky. He thought he was going to go there and save Ukraine. Well, he went into battle in Mariupol. And in a few minutes, he got a shot off, he missed. And then there was so much devastating counterfire. He ended up fleeing. He barely got in a car. And he barely got out of there. That was his career, basically, in Ukraine. Now, he did some interviews that you can watch. You can just Google, like, the Canadian sniper. And his compadre also did a video just describing the sheer firepower. So anyway, I think this is going to be a war that there's a lot of stuff to be learned and studied. And one thing you can see here is how the Russians like change tactics like very quickly, like they improvise like on the spot. And one thing they like I noticed that they did was to avoid like the stingers and the javelins, which don't work very well. There's something like a 50 to 75% fail rate. That's why the Ukrainians aren't using them. They're just lying around everywhere. But the Russians learned that you stay back with your tanks. Stay out of range. When you use your air, you fly in over the rooftops. You know, like at least 400, 500 miles an hour. Right over the rooftops and treetops. From right to left, and I posted some flyovers doing this and some other videos, but it's like 3 seconds. I mean, it's got to be just like incredible to see this, because just seeing it in the video is amazing. You literally come over the treetops and one side to the other, 3 seconds, and you could even pick up a stinger and aim it in 3 seconds. So this is how the Russians are using improvisation to defeat the Ukrainians. So anyway, I thought I'd give you a talk today, and I hope this helps people figure out what's going on over there. Currently, you've got a lot of Russian activity in trying to form cauldrons, which would probably result in the capture of about 10,000 troops, probably imminently. I would say the next few days you may be looking at some big numbers on mass surrendering. So I'll keep you posted on anything new that's going on. It looks like in Avrostal, the remaining troops have laid down their arms. I don't think the foreigners have come out yet. I think that's the only group that didn't surrender yet. So we'll see what happens with them. Who knows what they're going to do. But anyway, it looks like that's coming to a conclusion. And, Godspeed, this all ends, and the Ukrainian people can get back to their lives, because they're the ones who are suffering in all this. All right, well, thanks for listening. Bye.